case I'm talking about today is a disturbing case of how a boyfriend couldn't handle a breakup and did the unthinkable and drastic measures to punish the victim to the extreme. This case happened in Bushey, Hertfordshire, in the United Kingdom. This case details how a man went from being a narcissist to a murderer and how vulnerable women can be when they meet monsters like this. I have a daughter myself, and this world absolutely scares the hell out of me. This case is about the Crossbow killer, Kyle Clifford. Kyle Clifford had a disrupted upbringing, but that is no excuse for his shocking crimes. Kyle Clifford was born in April 1998 in Enfield, North London. He was the third of four siblings. His family moved around a lot when he was a child. People that knew the family would often say he was placid and reserved, but would also say he had a violent temper and would have misogynistic, racist, and transparent views. Cole is not the only person in his family that's in prison for murder. His older brother, Bradley Clifford, was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2018. Bradley received a minimum term of 23 years for a violent, high-speed road rage murder in which he mowed down teenagers on a moped after a bottle struck his car. In 2019, Kyle Clifford joined the Queen's Dragoon Guards as a trooper in the army. He didn't like being told what to do, and records showed later on that he didn't like the strict discipline and basic military concepts. He dropped out of the army in 2022 and formally left without seeing active service. During his time in the forces, Clifford developed a history of volatility. Court records showed he was involved in an alcohol-fueled altercation with other soldiers in 2021 and was forcibly ejected from a civilian pub after another aggressive incident. After leaving the army, he briefly worked as a private security guard. From February to July 2023, he was employed by Amphel, a fire and security installation firm based in St Albans, England. By the time he committed the attacks in 2024, he was unemployed because he couldn't hold on to a job. Before the triple murder, Clifford wasn't known to police for domestic abuse or severe violence. His only documented prior police interactions involved minor drug issues and an isolated physical fight. Clifford had already developed an internal worldwide view that he was superior to women and entitled to dominate them. When he first met Louise Hunt on a dating app, he initially hid his violent temper, entering a love bombing phase to mask his arrogance and control. Cole met his girlfriend, called Louise, online through a dating app in December 2022, and they ended up having an 18-month relationship. Louise was a 25-year-old dog groomer from Bushey, Hertfordshire, England, and she also matched Clifford on a dating app. At the time, Clifford was living in Enfield, North London, and had worked temporarily security jobs after leaving the army. The relationship moved very quickly between the months of January 2023 and April 2023. Clifford acted like a really nice person and hid his volatile temper and misogynistic views. In May 2023, as the relationship became serious, Louise introduced Clifford to her family at their home in Bushey, including her father, John Hunt, her mother, Carol, and her sister, Hannah. In late 2023, Clifford's true persona surfaces and his coercive and controlling patterns start to show. Court records detailed that he began to micromanage Louise's life, forbidding her from wearing makeup, dictating what clothes she can wear, and demanding that she can only go out socially if he came with her. Unbeknownst to Louise, during this time, Clifford was pursuing secret relationships with at least two other women he met through work. In June 2024, the final turning point occurred when the couple attended a wedding of Clifford's friend in Scarborough, England. Clifford made humiliating and patronising remarks to Louise, making her realise she needed to end the relationship. Between June 25th and June 26th, 2024, Louise broke up with Clifford face to face, later sending a text saying the relationship was sucking the life out of me. Just moments after Clifford received the text, he logged back onto Tinder and Hinge to find new dates before shifting his focus to planning his revenge. Clifford planned his revenge on Louise over a 13-day period. He spent time gathering his weapons and tracking her family. Louise thought the breakup was amicable because he seemed fine with it and understood the reasons why over text message, but he had other ideas. June 28, 2024, Clifford went to a toll station branch in Enfield. CCTV captured him purchasing a 30-metre length of rope. June 30th, he spent time online conducting digital research into crossbows and pornography. On the 3rd of July, Clifford made online purchases totaling roughly costing £350. He bought a Horizon Comet crossbow, 6 bolts, and the cutting device to be delivered to his house. He also ordered a replica Glock air pistol, which was ultimately not delivered in time. On July the 4th, he bought 2 rolls of duct tape from a B&Q branch and 2 petrol cans from a Halford store in England. On July the 5th, Clifford went to the gym and then travelled to central London for a night out, and he stayed in a hotel. He also began researching how to source heavy-duty knives. The final days were approaching for his attack, and on July the 7th, a 10-inch steel Deltron Phantom Series butcher's knife that Clifford purchased via Amazon was delivered to his home address. The day before the attack, on July 8th, Clifford researched YouTube for podcasts by self-described misogynistic Andrew Tate. He also wrote self-pitying letters to his family and researched the local weather for the following day and tracked Louise's mother, Carol, on Facebook. On the day of the attack, on July the 9th, at about 9:54 a.m., Clifford went to the garden centre with his parents and niece to appear as normal as possible. At 1:07 p.m., he packed his vehicle with a crossbow, knife, rope, duct tape, and petrol cans, leaving his Enfield home to drive 20 miles to Bushey. At 1:37 p.m., Clifford arrived in Bushey, parting down the street from the hunt home to check if Louise's father was away. He checked his phone to search if the horse racing for that day, because her father, John Hunt, is a famous horse racing commentator. At 2:02 p.m., Clifford approached the front door of Louise's house carrying a heavy-duty tool bag containing the butcher's knife, a crossbow, duct tape, and rope. He forced his way inside the home and stabbed Carol with a knife to death and confronted his ex-girlfriend, Louise. Between 2:05 p.m. and 5:45 p.m., Clifford bound Louise with the rope and duct tape, and for the next 4 hours he subjected her to a terrific ordeal, which included arming her. During this time, Louise's older sister, Hannah, returned home and was taken hostage. At 6:14 p.m., Hannah managed to text her partner to call the police, saying they were being held hostage. She then successfully called the police herself, reporting she had been shot with a crossbow and that her mother had been stabbed. Clifford then fatally shot both Hannah and Louise with a crossbow. At 6:31 p.m., CCTV footage showed Clifford fleeing the scene out the back of the property, carrying the crossbow underneath his arm. At 6:33 p.m., John Hunt returned home from his job as a BBC horse racing commentator and discovered his dying family. Paramedics and armed police then arrived within minutes, but all three women were pronounced dead at the scene from their injuries. On July 10th, 2024, in the morning, Hertfordshire police launched a massive manhunt. Police released Clifford's name and photo to the public, warning them that he was armed and really dangerous. At midday, police used automatic number plate recognition and mobile phone tracking to trace Clifford's movements back towards his home town of Enfield, North London. At 4 p.m., armed police and police dogs tracked Clifford to Lavender Hill Cemetery in Enfield. At 6 p.m., as police were closing in on Clifford, he used a crossbow to shoot himself in the chest in a suicide attempt. Police apprehended him and administered immediate first aid and rushed him to a London trauma hospital. The self-inflicted injury left him permanently paralysed from the chest down, but he survived to face trial. Despite his injuries, he was deemed fit for interview. On September 16, 2024, he was charged by police for his crimes and sent to prison to await trial. He later pleaded guilty to the murders, false imprisonment, and weapon charges, but denied R.N. Louise. So that went to trial, and after 2.5 days deliberation, he was also found guilty of that. On March 11th, 2025, Clifford was sentenced to a whole life order, meaning he will never ever be released from prison, and left the family heartbroken and with so many questions of why this had to happen. John Hunt read a statement out in court calling Clifford a monster and psychopath. Clifford refused to leave his cell to face the devastated family for sentencing.